if I'm easy work, I heard him say I'm easy work. If I was easy work, you would take all that money that he's offering you. But yet and still, he want 200 million for Benavidez, and he want 150 million to fight me. So that just lets me know right there that I'm a threat to him.
Maybe someone's reacted to that news. I don't know, or maybe it just fell through. No. But it sounds to me that the move to fight Jake Paul has just maybe derailed the other fight. But I don't blame Canelo Alvarez, because financially, the bigger fight is Canelo-Jake Paul. Yeah. Because in that fight, you've got two big stars. Yeah. In the other fight, you've got two great fighters and one big star.
Terence Crawford has fired back at Canelo Alvarez after reports emerged that their highly anticipated fight has been called off. What was once shaping up to be one of the biggest fights in boxing history has now crumbled, leaving fans frustrated and disappointed. Initially, the negotiations looked promising, with Ring magazine reporting that both fighters had agreed to terms for a blockbuster showdown in Nevada this fall. The fight had the potential to be a historic event, bringing together two of the sport's most skilled and decorated champions. However, in a dramatic turn of events, fresh reports now suggest that the deal has fallen apart due to unresolved issues between both camps. The planned Canelo Alvarez vs Terence Crawford fight is now off, the Ring has learned. But what caused the sudden collapse of negotiations? While contractual disputes may have played a role, a shocking twist has emerged. YouTuber-turned-boxer Jake Paul is now facing intense backlash for allegedly being a key factor in the fight's downfall. Social media has erupted with criticism, with fans accusing Canelo of ducking Crawford in favor of an easier and more lucrative fight against Paul. Peep Games, a popular boxing commentator, took to X, formerly Twitter, to voice his frustration. It's official, Saul Canelo Alvarez ducked the #1 pound-for-pound fighter, Terence "Bud" Crawford. Canelo is now the undisputed biggest coward in boxing history, the biggest duck of all time. Many fans believe that Canelo's rumored tune-up fight against Jake Paul played a major role in derailing the Crawford bout. Instead of taking on one of the greatest fighters of this generation, Canelo is now being accused of taking the easy route, choosing a less dangerous but highly profitable fight against a social media star. One of the loudest voices criticizing this move is Turki Alalshik, the financial powerhouse behind securing the Canelo vs Crawford fight. As the mastermind behind Riyadh season matchups, Alalshik has been vocal about his disdain for Jake Paul's presence in boxing. He has repeatedly expressed concerns that the rise of YouTubers in professional boxing is tarnishing the sport's integrity. With tensions rising and fans divided, the fallout from this failed super fight has left many questioning the state of modern boxing. Will Crawford find another worthy opponent? Will Canelo address the backlash? And most importantly, is a fight with Jake Paul really on the horizon?
And Terence Crawford, who should be a big star, but the reality is isn't. He's just an unbelievable fighter. So listen, everything can change overnight, as you saw.
Yeah.
So don't rule out Canelo Crawford, but as I'm hearing, Canelo Jake Paul is done, and I get it. Yeah, I'll watch it.
Mad old game. Eddie, always a pleasure, mate. Really appreciate the time.
Listen, buck up your ideas.
Some believe Canelo Alvarez's willingness to entertain a fight with Jake Paul played a key role in derailing negotiations for his highly anticipated super middleweight clash with Terence Crawford. Fans have been pushing for Canelo to face IBF titleholder William Skull in a bid to reclaim his undisputed super middleweight status. That fight would have set the stage for two future Hall of Famers battling for all four belts, far different from a spectacle involving a YouTuber whose last win came against a 58-year-old Mike Tyson. On X, Canelo Lesnar tweeted, although it's still unclear why Canelo vs Crawford was cancelled, many insiders speculate that a simple response may have triggered the dispute. After Bud's strong words for Teofimo Lopez, Canelo reportedly required Teo to be Crawford's next opponent before facing him. Meanwhile, speculation continues to swirl about a possible Canelo vs Jake Paul showdown, though no credible evidence suggests serious negotiations ever took place. World Boxing News had previously avoided fueling such rumors, but the conversation shifted when the Crawford fight was moved from T-Mobile Arena to Allegiant Stadium. Would Canelo really consider fighting Paul? The idea of a four-division champion holding WBO, WBA, and WBC titles stepping into the ring with a YouTuber seems highly unlikely. Las Vegas, a city known for showcasing boxing at its highest level, may not embrace such a fight. Yet, in the digital age, even the slightest hint of interest can snowball into real-world consequences, often to the disappointment of fans. Many in the boxing community expressed frustration over how the situation unfolded. One fan criticized the sport's frequent mishandling of big fights, saying, "Boxing is a joke sometimes," announcing fights prematurely with no signed paperwork. This sentiment reflects a growing frustration among fans tired of false promises and unfulfilled super fight announcements. Another fan summed up the disappointment: "They got us all hyped up just to break our hearts in pieces. The possibility of seeing undisputed champions from different weight classes clash in the ring was exciting, but now, that hope has turned into frustration." Some fans speculated that contractual complications played a role in the cancellation. One fan tweeted, "Rumor has it, Canelo saw the fine print and realized the winner had to fight David Benavidez." The super middleweight contender is known for his relentless pressure and aggressive style, making him a dangerous challenge for any fighter. If a mandatory bout with Benavidez was in play, it could have added another layer of complexity to the negotiations. Not everyone saw the cancellation as a bad thing, though. Some fans believe Crawford may have dodged a bullet. One user commented, "Crawford can't cut to 168. Taking that cash grab would have just tarnished his legacy. Let's keep it real." While Crawford is undoubtedly a generational talent, moving up 2 weight classes to face an elite super middleweight like Canelo would have been a monumental challenge. Many believe the risk outweighed the reward, and staying in his natural weight class might be the best move for his legacy. For a brief moment, it seemed like anticipation would finally turn into reality. Reports suggested that negotiations for Canelo versus Crawford were progressing, but now, the historic clash between 2 pound-for-pound legends appears unlikely. The exact reasons behind the cancellation remain unclear, though the significant weight difference was a major sticking point. Meanwhile, David Benavidez has re-entered the conversation. In an interview with Ariel Helwani, Benavidez, fresh off his title eliminator victory against David Morrell, shared his preference for a fight against Dimitri Bivol. If Bivol, who famously defeated Canelo 2 years ago, wins his next bout, it could significantly impact the division's landscape.
How confident are you, David, that you will fight the winner of Beterbiev Bivol?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident. To be honest, the only thing that I'm thinking about is that if Bivol wins this fight, like what they would have to do a rubber match. You know what I mean? And like I'm just like thinking, who am I to say that they can't fight another fight because they fought 2 great fights. So that's basically the only thing I'm thinking of right now. But I would, if that's something like that would happen, I think I wouldn't fight until they get that done with, and then I would move into that fight after they have a trilogy. So that's really the only thing I'm thinking right now.
But that would be a long break for you. Like, let's say conceivably they fight again October.
Terence Crawford stands on the verge of cementing his legacy as one of boxing's all-time greats, with the rare opportunity to become a 3-division undisputed champion. Such an achievement would place him in an elite class of fighters, solidifying his status as a dominant force across multiple weight divisions. However, with Canelo Alvarez potentially out of the picture, Crawford now faces a critical decision regarding his next move. Rather than waiting for Alvarez, he could shift his focus toward a series of unification bouts, further proving his superiority by taking on other champions in the division. One of the most likely matchups for Crawford could be against Sebastian Fundora, a towering and unorthodox fighter who has already engaged in a heated online exchange with him. The two have traded verbal jabs, fueling speculation about a potential clash that could generate significant intrigue. A fight with Fundora would test Crawford against a physically imposing opponent, but many believe his technical brilliance, ring IQ, and elite counterpunching would make him the clear favorite. Despite this, lingering doubts and debates persist in the boxing world. Would Canelo Alvarez truly risk a 3rd career defeat by stepping into the ring with Crawford? While some argue that Crawford's skillful and calculated approach would give him the edge, others remain captivated by Alvarez's precision body shots, rock-solid defense, and ability to control fights with his power and experience. For Alvarez, the thought of suffering his first loss in such a high-profile bout presents a massive risk, especially when another dangerous contender lurks just around the corner. The debate over weight classes also raises an important question: is it fair to push a champion to move up 2 divisions for a fight? While some believe Crawford's talent would allow him to compete at a higher weight, others feel the move could put him at a physical disadvantage against naturally bigger fighters like Canelo. Amid all this uncertainty, David Benavidez remains a key figure in the equation. His relentless aggression, power, and volume punching have made him one of the most feared fighters in the super middleweight and light heavyweight divisions. Should he secure undisputed status at light heavyweight, it would become increasingly difficult for Canelo Alvarez to continue avoiding a long-awaited showdown with him. With so many moving pieces in the boxing landscape, fans are left eagerly awaiting the next developments. Will Crawford take on another elite fighter to chase greatness? Will Canelo eventually accept the challenge? And will Benavidez continue pressuring Alvarez into the fight that so many believe is inevitable? One thing is certain: the future of boxing is set for some explosive moments in the months ahead.
We'll see. I'm gonna rest and talk with my team, and like I say, everybody asking for everything, but and I always did. I always fight with everybody. You asking, so. But right now I'm in the position I can ask him to. So I'm in the position I can ask him to, and I can do whatever I want, and we'll see what happens.
Terence Crawford had spent nearly a year tirelessly pushing for the fight against Canelo Alvarez, determined to cement his legacy with one of the biggest showdowns in boxing history. Throughout the negotiations, both fighters remained in close discussions with Saudi boxing chief Turki Alshik, a key power player in orchestrating major boxing events. Alshik had been one of the strongest advocates for making the fight happen, believing it had the potential to be one of the most monumental matchups in the sport's recent history. With such high-profile backing, expectations soared as reports suggested that negotiations were nearly complete. Many sources hinted that an official announcement was imminent, possibly taking place during the highly anticipated UFC 306 event in September. The excitement surrounding the fight reached a boiling point when Crawford and Alshik addressed the matchup during an Instagram live session, further fueling the speculation. Fresh off his impressive victory over Edgar Berlanga, Crawford saw the perfect opportunity to publicly call out Canelo and apply additional pressure to finalize the deal. Alshik, equally enthusiastic about the fight, immediately responded, "Yes. Let's go, Canelo, come on, we are ready." Crawford doubled down, ensuring there was no ambiguity about his intentions. "You heard it from him. Just put me in the game." Canelo versus Crawford, the biggest fight in boxing. But we stay ready, so we don't have to get ready. For a brief moment, it seemed that everything was falling into place, and boxing fans around the world began eagerly anticipating the historic showdown. However, the landscape suddenly shifted when rumors surfaced about a potential fight between Canelo Alvarez and Jake Paul. The mere suggestion that the reigning unified super middleweight champion would entertain a matchup with a former YouTuber-turned boxer, who has yet to score a legitimate professional victory against a ranked fighter, was met with immediate skepticism and backlash. The idea seemed so absurd that many initially dismissed it as pure speculation. However, as social media chatter intensified, the conversation took a more serious turn. Reports linking Canelo to Jake Paul sparked outrage among boxing purists, who saw it as an insult to the sport. Why would Canelo entertain such a fight when a historic bout with Crawford was within reach? Why risk his legacy on a spectacle-driven event when a true test of skill awaited him? Critics argued that a fight with Jake Paul would be nothing more than a lucrative circus act, prioritizing financial gain over the integrity of the sport. Despite the overwhelming backlash, the rumors refused to die down. Social media platforms were flooded with speculation, and what once seemed like a laughable fantasy was now a serious talking point in boxing circles.
But it may be a done deal. Terence Crawford, Canelo Alvarez. Early thoughts? What do you think?
Yeah, look, the first thought is, can he handle the weight jump? Can he handle the weight jump? He being Crawford against Madridov, people are going to say, "Oh, he had some hiccups." Who don't have hiccups? When you eat something that's a little difficult to eat, and Madrimov was a little difficult to eat, he's not easy to digest. He's a good fighter. When you eat something that's a little tough to digest, you get hiccups, right? So come on, he's human. So he had a few hiccups. He won the fight. He's Terence Crawford. A lot of people say, "Oh, Teddy, you make him so good. You're always saying how great Crawford is." But who's he beating? He unified the, what was his first division? Lightweight, then he unified the junior, then he unified the junior welter, then he unified the welter. I think I got the weight classes right. It doesn't matter.
For now, the actual outcome of the fight takes a backseat to the frenzy of speculation surrounding it. What's truly astonishing is how much buzz has been generated purely from rumors, a testament to Jake Paul's undeniable talent for spectacle. Amid the chaos, boxing commentator Showbiz the Adult weighed in on the rumored showdown, offering valuable insight. He emphasized that a fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez would overshadow any bout involving Jake Paul. Canelo needs a May opponent who poses no real risk to his record or reputation, said Showbiz. The real fight is Canelo versus Crawford. Canelo is the heavy favorite, but that's the fight everyone wants. You don't want that fight jeopardized. From a business perspective, Showbiz suggested that Canelo versus Jake Paul might actually generate more money than a fight with Crawford, despite its lack of credibility. That's the world we live in. What am I going to say? He exclaimed that he pointed out that Jake Paul's polarizing image guarantees interest, claiming, "The hate for Jake Paul will fill the arena. People love to gather just to hate," and the growing backlash surrounding Jake Paul's potential fight with Mike Tyson has only added more fuel to the fire. Showbiz the Adult, a well-known boxing analyst, pointed out that the sheer controversy surrounding Paul's presence in the sport is what continues to make him relevant. In fact, some fans have even begun to view Canelo Alvarez as a superhero, believing that if he were to step into the ring with Jake Paul, it would serve as a long-overdue lesson for the social media star-turned-boxer. The idea of Canelo dismantling Paul has become an oddly enticing narrative for a section of the boxing community, with many fans eager to see how such a fight would unfold. However, Showbiz isn't the only industry insider weighing in on the rumored matchup. MMA journalist Ariel Helwani recently addressed the speculation during an appearance on the Ariel Helwani Show, where he reacted to the reports that Canelo versus Jake Paul could take place in May. Helwani, known for his in-depth analysis of combat sports, didn't dismiss the idea outright. If this is true, what a freaking year for Canelo Alvarez. 2 gigantic paydays. Helwani remarked, acknowledging the financial magnitude of both potential fights, one against Paul, the other against Terence Crawford. The possibility of Canelo securing back-to-back multi-million-dollar bouts, regardless of the competition, underscores his immense drawing power in boxing. While Helwani refrained from confirming or denying the legitimacy of the rumors, the sheer possibility of the fight happening has already ignited fierce debate within the boxing community. Some argue that a fight against Paul would damage Canelo's legacy, while others believe it's a low-risk, high-reward business decision. On one hand, it provides Alvarez with another massive payday. On the other, it raises concerns about boxing being diluted by spectacle fights rather than legitimate, high-level matchups. As the speculation continues to spread across social media, one thing remains clear: love him or hate him, Jake Paul has managed to keep himself in the conversation. His ability to stir controversy and generate buzz ensures that his name remains relevant in the sport, whether fans approve or not.